Hi, Matma.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. And you?
I'm a little bit sick. That's why I have faced a seasonal fever and cold. Okay.
Okay. Do you feel better today? I think so. You are more energetic.
Seasonal fever has faced my whole family. Just fever and cold.
I imagine, yeah. Here, Tracy makes a suggestion, and I think that is great. Each educator here may present himself or herself so that they tell us where they are from and what they do.
Today I see Indira ma'am. She's from India.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you so much. I've been wanting to attend, but something or the other kept me away from attending the session.
Okay, so that's great you are here with us today.
Shojib Davanath, Muhammad Hassan, Kutubuddin Tersi, Shariful Islam. Tersi, how are you?
Yes, ma'am.
Tersi, sorry for that. I wasn't attend to your previous yesterday program. I feel very sick yesterday.
Thank you, madam. I am Shojib Devanath, assistant teacher, Government Primary School, Nabinagar, Brownberry, Bangladesh.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, madam.
Thank you, sir, for joining us, and hope that stay with us until end of the program.
Thank you.
Kutubuddin sir, are you from?
Hi, Tracy.
Let's unmute your microphone. Unmute.
Hello, Patricia. I did.
Shariful Islam sir, how are you?
Hello, nice to see you back.
Oh my goodness. Patricia, good news. Bitupan, he is from India. Bitupan Borua. Hello, sir.
India, all right.
Hello,
so here we
ma'am.
have Bangladesh, India, the United States, and Argentina.
Argentina. Bitupan sir, please, just introduce yourself.
Yes, give me 2 minutes. Go. I'm just getting ready. Give me 2 minutes.
Okay.
Or they can write where they are from or what they do on in the chat boxes. So that would save time.
Just do it. Okay, Patricia, should I start now? Just.
All right. Okay.
I'm the CEO of Leadership Program in Bangladesh. Okay. Real Hassan sir. Real Hassan sir,
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
So let's start.
Real Hassan, he's from.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you?
Fine, sir.
Good
Sir,
to see
welcome
you.
on.
I made it. I was on a train. I just got out of the train and I'm back home. So I found the opportunity of getting together today and share some of my ideas and also listen to some of your ideas and thoughts, inshallah. And that is why I'm here. I'm basically looking after a leadership program that we run for the schools, colleges, and also the universities in Bangladesh. And currently we have actually live classes twice every week for the students of class 6 to class 12. So that is what I do. And you haven't seen my face as yet. So now I will show my face as well. Well,
great.
that's myself. Hi.
Hi,
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody.
fine.
Hi,
Welcome.
Tracy. Hi, Patricia. How are you?
Hi, fine,
Hi,
fine.
Indira. I can also see Bichupan and Sajib. Devnath is there. Kutub is there. Hello, everybody.
Bitufan from Bangladesh, Bitufan from India, Indira ma'am from India, Teresi from USA, Patricia from Argentina, and others, rest of the guests from Bangladesh.
Wonderful.
This is our global family. And you are a member, one of them. Some of the instructions to us before starting the meetings. Today we will run the program properly according to some rules. After the first 40 minutes, we'll log in again. If anyone wants to share something, so we will give you a chance to talk. Others will remain muted while the speaker speaks. We'll sincerely try to keep our meeting environment transparent and beautiful. Thanks to all the newcomers to the program, and hope you will join us in the future. Some of our guests will participate late today. They are informed me. Yes, some guests will not participate today due to busy schedule, such as Shagorika. Shagorika will not join our today's program. So let the guest be involved. We start the program within specific time. I'm saying for the sake of the audience, you can take part in discussions if you want. Then someone can express their opinion. So we will accept everything. First of all, greetings to everyone on our program. This is a regular program of World Educator Bangladesh chapter. Today is our 32nd episode. 32nd episode. Grateful to everyone from home and abroad who have with me sincerely so far and hope to be in future. The topic of our discussion today, student complaints doesn't mean engagement. First of all, I would like to request just Patricia for opening remarks about today's topic. Please, Patricia.
All right. Okay, thank you, Madma. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, teachers of the world. Today the topic, as Madma has said, student compliance does not mean engagement. A common topic in education today is compliance versus engagement. And usually the main focus is on how students need to be engaged, not compliant. Research indicates that compliance is not good in education, but most teachers' goal is engagement or a level of empowerment. But this cannot be achieved if compliance is not present. For this reason, we need to make the following questions. Do we want students who are submissive and obedient, or do we prefer students who are creative and critical thinkers? Well, the answer is obvious. A compliant student does what the teacher says. He follows rules, he does assignments which usually follow a common pattern, and they are bombarded with tests that students really don't enjoy. When we have this type of compliant classrooms, the students are not learning properly because they cannot make meaning out of the information they are receiving. They are not active participants in this type of classroom. For this reason, I think that it is important to make a shift. Why? Because whenever we have engaged students in our classrooms, they have the opportunity to take a dominant role in the process of learning, and in this way, they make their learning meaningful and memorable. So there is a second question now. We are still in the 21st century, and we are still having teachers who are bossy and they want their students to be quiet and follow their rules. Is that the type of teacher students in the 21st century really need? So the answer is definitely no. No, we don't need this type of teachers. That's why we need to encourage them to promote engagement in the classroom, because when the students are engaged, this means that they are intrinsically motivated. Whenever they are part of a compliant classroom, the motivation is artificial because they are extrinsically motivated, not intrinsically. This means that they are not really interested. There is a sense of obligation in the classroom. So they study because they have to sit for examinations. In other words, they study to pass an examination, not to learn. And bulimic learning takes place. This means that the teacher explains, the students study, and then they spit out that information in a written or in an oral test. What is important to highlight here is that compliance is necessary. It's not bad, because in order to have successful engagement in the classroom, some compliance should be present. Why? Because the students need to be given certain rules and instructions in order to work effectively and learn meaningfully. It happens in society. Compliance is also present in society. This means that citizens need to follow rules that are implemented by the government in order to live comfortably as citizens in the society they belong to, and also to live in peace. So in education, this is no exception. The problem is when compliance is given the main focus in the classroom. So this is not nice, because the students are not enjoying their learning. We are in the 21st century, and we are implementing a different type of education. And of course, compliance is present in order to give the students the rules they really need to get engaged. When we create this type of flexible environment in the classroom, the students may learn successfully and more effectively. So let's promote this type of classrooms so that the students will feel much more comfortable in the process of learning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patricia, for your wonderful and insightful and informative discussions. Thanks again. I know that the complaint learner does what's expected. They follow directions, complaint assignments, and get good grades with just the right amount of participation. But their heart aren't truly in it. Engaged students focus on the learning and share their thoughts without being just prodded. In this stress, I would like to, Indira ma'am, please unmute your microphone. After a long time, we have got to you.
So you are catching hold of me, grabbing me. But the honor is all mine. So first of all, as Patricia ji said, that students are less engaged when it comes to compliance of the rules and regulations, everything. So basically, see, compliance is sitting quietly, following the rules, right?
Yes.
Engagement is wherein you are actually questioning yourself, gaining the interest, motivating yourself to get that interest, or rather motivating the students to get the interest. So I'll give you one example. There was a teacher who was teaching integers, and this happened in a school in UAE, in Ajman. Okay. Now he was supposed to teach integers. So instead of using the traditional chalk and board method, what he did, he took a football, he took the children on the ground, and he taught them integers on the ground for that 1.5 hours by playing 1.5 hours of football. That entire chapter was completed on the ground playing 1.5 hours of football. That is engagement. Now, the challenge here is compliance or engagement, because we cannot completely ignore compliance. Okay. The reason is, especially in India, especially in CBSE and the ICSE syllabus, there is a certain eligibility criteria. In every grade, we have something called as a board exam for the grade 10 and grade 12 children. Okay. So that eligibility criteria has to be crossed. There is the compliance. But how do we cross the eligibility criteria? There comes the engagement. And that is where we as teachers, we must try, innovate our teaching methods, innovate our outlook, or change our outlook from being preachy teaching to a discovery-led teaching. That is when this compliance and engagement can go hand in hand together. We cannot ignore completely one part and just take the other part. We can balance both of them. So that is my take on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Indira ma'am, for your sharing. In this stage, I would like to, Teresi, please unmute your microphone. Teresi, please unmute your microphone. I have today's topic on this topic. I have raised some questions. So on the topic of today's discussions now, I will request just what can we do move away from complaint-based classroom?
Are you asking me a question, Matisse? I didn't understand.
What can we do move away from complaint-based classroom?
Well, it's pretty obvious that I am not oriented towards learning by compliance. In fact, I speak out and everything I do is definitely against compliant learning. But it's been the way learning has always happened. For what purpose? I believe it's so that, and I think it's a political move in education, because it's a way of maintaining control and not really stimulating our learners to ask questions, but just to listen to what they're supposed to know or be or do, and to follow that. And if they're not able to ask questions or to find answers to their questions, learning isn't happening. Learning isn't happening without that. And I actually just looked up what the word compliance means. And it says it's the act or process of doing what you have been asked or ordered to do. Well, really, is that what we want in the classrooms? Do we want to continue ordering our students about what to do? Of course, my answer is definitely no, because learning isn't happening in our classrooms. Learners are withdrawing from the classrooms physically or mentally because they are not getting the answers to their questions. Okay? They aren't allowed to disagree with the answer that they're being given. So critical thinking isn't really allowed. Thinking for yourself, being able to share and speak out for yourself in a positive way. That's what why I like what we do with the Global Matrix Leaders Theater is it allows you to go through a process of understanding the language, of beginning to think in the language, and then beginning to share in your writing what your ideas are and what's going on in your head and what your answers to the questions ended up being, to share it in a different manner. And I love the story about, I should tell you an opposite story, also one from India. When I was in India, I taught the Talkage 5th grade students. And what I wanted to do was they had a beautiful big open area. I wanted to take them out in the open area to teach them something in English, an English language, to play a game. I wasn't allowed to, because the students were not allowed to go outside for learning. Okay? They were to stay in the classroom. That is very typical. They only, and I'm not just saying just in India, that's very typical. The mentality is learning only happens in the 4 walls of the classroom. So we are ignoring a huge amount of learning opportunities by not allowing them to leave. I had to comply to that. Okay. And another thing that they in the same school was I brought in some things I wanted them to cut out, to put together. They weren't allowed to, because they weren't allowed to have scissors. They weren't allowed to have scissors in the classroom. Now that I didn't comply to, because that's taking away the civil rights of being able to do something within their four walls. So I went to the head of the school and said, what is this? You treat these kids like they're 2-year-olds. You can't do that and expect learning to take place. So, and he agreed, of course, because he's the one that brought me there. But the problem is that the way our teachers are trained, and they are trained, okay, is the same way that they've been trained before this, and then on and on and on. And until we can break that chain of how they're trained and start to change the thinking of the teachers and of parents and families, because you can't make change without taking in all of the different pieces in the community, we're going to continue to see compliant learning, and I put that in quotes, for the tests and not for the person and what they want to do. So the system needs to make a huge change. And that's basically what I'm trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresi, for your insightful discussions. It's undoubtedly true. Many important things have come from your discussion. So I would like to request, Patricia, please, do you agree with Teresi? If you agree, please tell me why.
Yes, I completely agree with you, Tracy, because the problem we are having at the moment is that teachers are not properly trained. So the process of teaching in the traditional way goes on and on and on. So I always say that education in transformation should be started at teacher training colleges, because we need to prepare teachers to be ready to teach differently For example, what you are proposing is really great in this new way of presenting teaching and learning. But for example, I have been visiting teacher training colleges, and they are always the same. There are many elements and many important aspects of education that are not taken into account. For example, last week we talked about the universal design for learning. This depends on the teacher. Teachers may decide to include information that is not part of the curriculum. And I think that, as Tracy has said, the system should be changed urgently, but governments are interested in doing something else, and education is not taken into account. So I always say that we are responsible for this change. If we are teacher trainers, teacher training colleges, we need to insist on this new type of education because we are in 2021 and we are still having a traditional model. And we are if governments are not taking this responsibility, it is ours. Because when we start making this change, this shift in education, and the students can see the difference between learning traditionally and learning using innovation, new types of teachings and learning in which there is direct involvement, and the teachers are flexible enough to allow students to learn independently, well, they can choose very easily what they need for their future students. So thank you, Tracy, for what you have proposed. I completely agree with you.
Thank you, Patricia, for agreeing with Tracy. Undoubtedly true. In fact, there is no doubt that we are all benefited from all of your fruitful and insightful discussions. So in this stage, I want to say something. Engagement is a significant part of learning. It's not just one of dimensional notions. Not only does it concern the student's ability to pay attention in class, but he or she should be actively engaging as well. Just when students are actively engaged, they learn how to think independently. In this stage, I would like to, Laila, please unmute your microphone.
Hi, Laila.
I am really sorry to join a little late. I am really sorry because I was attending one teacher's training program by our foundation. Then immediately it got over. I came here again 7:31 meetings. I requested Mamna's Miss, please call me now. So sorry for that. I will be leaving today as soon as it gets over. Kindly excuse me, everybody. Because
I
we
know
are
that,
one.
Laila, you are always busy. We are all of know that you are all of busy. So I have a question.
No.
Laila, I have a question. What is the difference between complaints and engagement in education?
Okay. Student complaints doesn't mean engagement. That is the topic we are discussing or we have to discuss. I totally agree with that. Student complaints doesn't mean engagement. A person can simply follow the rule. Because now, when the speaker is speaking, we have to listen. In between, we don't have to interfere, right? And whenever we are attending this virtual meeting, we are having the option whether we have to switch on, we can unmute ourselves, mute ourselves, or we can switch on or switch off the video. Presence is already there. I am present. Participation is already there. But where my mind is, what I am doing. If my audio is off, if my video is off, I can chat also. The same thing can happen in the classroom also. You ask the children to read something, you ask the children to learn the multiplication table, or ask the children to learn the parts of the body or parts of the plants, whatever it is. 30 children, all will show that, yes, I am reading from the book. We are observing. We walk to and fro. We observe and we will be very happy. Oh, each and every child is so much engrossed in learning. But what happens over there? All the children, those who are pretending, they are not learning at all. They will pretend that they are already learning, but actually the learning doesn't take place. For making that every child to participate in the content development, we have to adopt certain things. The teachers have to adopt certain things while delivering the concept. The first thing is that flexibility should be there. Flexibility means in a traditional method, when Tracy ma'am was talking that time, I was just little only I listened. But when Patricia ma'am had already wind up or commented about that, I came to know that traditional method we are now also we want to follow the traditional method. Because we think that we are the best. We have learned like this. So I will be imposing the same thing to my children also. My attitude is not at all changing. When I am in the class, I am great. That is what we are thinking. The thing, that particular mentality of the educator is to be changed. Let the child's need or the requirements the teacher understand. Then only it is possible to make the child to be an active participant and engagement of the child, the teacher can surely ensure. So student complaints doesn't mean that what is there, it doesn't mean that the child is already engaged. Flexibility has to be created in the classroom. Let the children requirements be understood by the teacher. Work accordingly. Then creativity has to be done, not only by question answers and rote learning. Okay, writing on the board, copy it on, next day, this is the homework, learn and come. No. Creativity has to be there. That is why we always say in our discussion, project-based assignments have to be given with the monitoring of the teachers, which particular link has to be provided to them. The teacher has to work for that. It's not like that traditional method. I'm not blaming that. We also learned from traditional method only. I really have the obligation to my teachers, those who have already made me to stand like this, but still traditional method has already got so many drawbacks. So we have to avoid that. Recently, I was reading from one of the articles that we all know very well that America is an affluent society. And Tracy ma'am, I think she is from America. I was reading that near about 7,000 students a day in America become the dropouts whenever they will be going to the higher education. What is the reason for it? The reason may be whatever they think about, whatever they are already thinking about their future to become, that is not at all getting in education. That is the reason why they are leaving, they are becoming the dropouts. So motivation is required in the class. Atmosphere should be according to the needs of the children, and then only we can remove the barriers which is already becoming really an obstacle for engagement of each and every child. So for that, we have to remember that each and every school, there should be a person who will be appointed for counseling the students, what problems they are already having. Why the child is not paying attention? Why the child is already getting less marks? What is the reason the child is facing? Let every school should have a counselor who is ready to accept, ready to go down to the level of the child and understand him. Parents may not be able to understand him. They have got high expectations.
শোনো, ওটা কেটে half করো। একটা রাখে, তাহলে এক পিস রেখে দাও।
Laila, please continue your space.
Shall I continue, Mamtas, now?
Yes, yes.
So we were discussing that we have to create, every school has to create an atmosphere according to the requirements or according to the needs of the children. For that, I was telling that the child should have the freedom to access to a particular person, maybe the counselor, to tell about the problem. And more than that, the teachers should be able to identify what problem the child is already having. The problems can be emotional problem, economic problem, cognitive problem, and even related to society also. When I am telling about the society, we have to remember that some children might be belonging to the poor section, some might be belonging to the upper class, some might be belonging to a different caste. So all these social problems may be there. So emotional, economical, cognitive, and social problems, this may create the child to be distracted from engaging himself in learning. So compliance means sitting quietly and follow the rules, follow the directions that anybody can do. If you are already teaching a dog, if the trainer will tell that, okay, you do the shake hand, I am also having a dog. If I ask him, do shake hand, it will do. Because to practice, the children will sit in the class disciplined. If the teacher is already able to control the class, every child will be sitting quietly in the class. That is compliance, but engagement will not be there. For that engagement, we have to create the atmosphere that is suitable for discussion, that is suitable for creativity, and it should not be only based on observation, but it should be relevant. Whatever we are teaching should be relevant to the particular time. It should not be, because when we are teaching about the war, what is at present happening? Is there any third world war come? How it will be? How we can control? So that way relevant things have to be already been told. When we are telling about education literacy, then we should know some data related to that, where we are, where our country is, and where the other countries are, how we have to improve the education system of our country. This way, if we are making education interesting, surely the question of engagement of the children will not be an obstacle. It can be already been ensured, but not only by asking the children to follow the directions, but the children themselves will come to know that, yes, my participation, my engagement in teaching, in learning is very essential for me, so that I will be able to become whatever I have destined for, or whatever I am desiring, whatever desire I have for it. Thank you so much. Once again, thank you all.
Thank you, Laila, for your fruitful and insightful discussions. In this stage, I would like to Mohammed Hassan sir, Real Hassan sir, please unmute your microphone. Okay. Sir, after a long time, you have joined our program. So I know that you are aware about our today's topic. So if you will say something about our topic, please continue, sir.
Thank you so much, Mumtaz Madam, for your kind introduction and also giving me the opportunity to talk about this very important subject. I have had the opportunity of listening to Tracy, listening to Patricia, listening to Madam Laila, and also Madam Indira. Very well spoken, and I thank them for this wonderful presentation that they have had. Now, I would like to go back a bit from the subject of compliance versus engagement. what I feel is that in any compliance, there is always an element of fear. And when we have an element of fear, you will always underperform whatever the subject matter is. Our examination, the method of examination, the method of evaluation, the method of our class delivery, and the pedagogy that we use in our education system, unfortunately, invokes fear in the hearts of our children. And everybody is afraid of examination. I haven't found any student in Bangladesh, at least, where they are actually passionate to take the exam, attend the exam, but everybody is fearful. They stop eating. They are not normal. Their saliva dries up. They cannot talk. Now, these are all signs of fear in the hearts of our children. And how this fear has been invoked in the hearts of our children, very simple. It is compliance. That everybody is required to comply on something. And the idea that is given to the student today is to listen to your teacher, to understand what your teacher is teaching you, and take it for granted. Take it for granted, and you deliver in the examination paper as you were told. That is a compliance. Now, when you have this compliance, you are basically excluding the most important factor of education and learning, which is the innovation and creativity of the children. If the children are not allowed to be creative, to be innovative, in forming their ideas, in forming their concepts, if we take it for granted that all the teachers know more than the children, it might be true that the teachers might know more than the children, but there are cases where a child might know more than the teacher. If we do not give that opportunity to the student to be innovative, to be creative, and to bring out the potential that they have, if they're not allowed to go out of the boundaries that the teacher has created around the student, then that student can never attain and achieve the potential that he is given. So my point goes beyond what we are discussing, that definitely there should not be a method by which we insert fear into the hearts of our children about education, about learning, and about the evaluation of how well they have learned. Now, what is required to happen in a classroom is very simple, which is that it is not the fear, but it is the love of the children towards the subject that is being talked about, which is to invoke passion into the hearts of our children about the subject that is being taught. And that cannot be done in the manner that we currently are teaching our students in the classroom. The very environment in the classroom is negative. The very environment in the classroom is unfortunately fearful. The relationship between a teacher and a student is not that of love, but of fear. You need to fear your teacher. And if you fear your teacher, we know that the senses of innovation and the senses of creativity are gone from our hearts. On the contrary, what we need to invoke is the passion for the subject that they are there to learn. And how do we invoke that passion? It's very simple. Everybody has things that they love to do. And everybody have things they are good at. If we combine these two circles of every student, we will find a common area of what the students are good at and what the students love to do. If you combine them together, you will have an intersecting portion whereby you combine what you are good at and what you love to do. And this intersection is called the passion. A teacher has to know that intersecting segment of each and every student. And to be honest with you, these passions are not inside the classroom. They're all outside the classroom. This involves their life. This involves their future. This involves their career. This involves their vocation. This involves their mission. And this involves their vocation. Therefore, it is an integration of mission, passion, profession, and vocation. If all of these four components are combined together, that makes the purpose of a particular student. And if we can address that passion, it is only then that we as teachers would be able to teach our children what they need to know, whether it is knowledge, or it can be skills, or it can be competence. I'm not talking about only knowledge, no. There is part that is knowledge. There is part that is skills. There is part that is competence. There is part that is merit. There is part that are strategies. There is part, those are tactics. If we can combine these together for our students to be passionate about what they're learning in the classroom, and the teacher is merely a facilitator of that process. We cannot be the giver of the knowledge. Knowledge can never be given. And that's period. You can share information. Yes, but the creation of the knowledge has to happen at the level of the students. And it is only then that our students would learn things that they can apply in their lives so that they can better their lives and also better the lives of the loved ones who are around them. Thank you so much. I'm sorry for taking up the time, and I wish you all a very good evening, morning, or afternoon, wherever you are.
Excellent, excellent words.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir,
so
for
much.
your wonderful discussion.
Thank you so much, Mumtaz, madam.
In your discussions, our today's expenditure is very successful. We also learned a lot of new things. So I also know that about your subject knowledge is very good. So we will definitely try to use this achievement in our field of work, sir. Thank you, sir, for your again. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, madam. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, sir. I hope that you will stay with us and in future. In this stage, I would like to Talukdar sir, please unmute your microphone. Hello, Talukdar sir, are you there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Hello,
Sir, please.
everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
Just I have a question, sir. What are your biggest barrier to complaints and engagement in online class in 2020?
Very technical question. Anyway, first of all, I would like to remember our poet Rabindranath Tagore. He established university in India. We know the name is Shantiniketan. As we go back to 100 years, we'll see from his philosophical thought, he started that program. He was a writer and he was a Nobel laureate. Once he thought, what I am telling, I have to do it. Otherwise, the people of the society will not understand it. His philosophy was that children should learn from the nature, by the nature, within the nature. That's why he started his program in a village which is full of foresty, surrounded by the village. Children were coming there and they sit together under the tree. And from real life, he started to talking with them, and he selected the teacher who have the ability to manage their children, to fulfill their curiosity, where the children were started to do the work. Even many great people just came out from that university. And now I'm going to give the answer of the Mamata's question. In online, it is really a new situation for the people of the earth. We are adapted with the pedagogy or andragogy, which is mostly face-to-face, not from distance learning. In some cases, in higher education and conference, people are doing online practice. But for the children, it is really very new for them, especially in developing countries. There is a shortage of devices, there is a shortage of ideas, there is a shortage of the process through which the teacher manages their children who is waiting far from her or him through device. So the challenge is that to activate children through online is really very difficult. Second, the children were not used to use the devices. Third, parents were not aware about it. But through this practice, teachers started to know how to use devices. And maybe not from that practice, Teresa already started one work through online, especially to communicate with the children, to aware them what they want to know from her dialogue, or the people, those who are writing the dialogues, they are writing those things in such a fashion that children will get some understanding, and they have to exercise their curiosity. Like that, to control the children, we know that we have some idea about our Philip class, and this conception is very important for online class. As we provide them some teaching aids in their home, so they can practice it in their home, thereby they can just present what they have done. So automatically they will be engaged there, and the family situation will be like that. Parents will help them to do some work. In that case, children were complaining, I am not understanding anything, I am not able to manage my device, the connectivity is very poor, what the teacher is telling, this is not too much clean to us, what she is writing in the board, I am not seeing it. Even sometimes the children are not listening anything due to the net connectivity and the quality of the device. But anyway, people had got some new idea, and I hope in future our teacher community will use this idea with face-to-face learning. It means blended learning platform is very important, where the people will interested and they will use amount of source, and learning should have some freedom. We should not go through a particular things to know the particular way the ideas that given by the teacher, but the student should have the freedom to search the sources through where he can process his interest and he will go further for learning. Thank you very much, Mamutaz.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful discussions. I believe that your regular and informative and important discussions will be helpful in enriching our quality of education. So again, thank you. In this stage, I would like to, Patricia, please just unmute your microphone. I have another questions to you. How do you ensure that students are actively engaged and not just complain?
Okay, before starting, I want to say something that Mohammed mentioned. He talked about evaluations. I think that the type of evaluations we're having at the moment should be banned immediately because, as he said, the students do not feel comfortable with the type of test they are having at the moment because they are mechanical and normally they are not given questions that make a student think. They are mechanical answers and the answers are shared by the whole group of students. So there is no creativity. So what's the use of giving students tests in which they repeat like parrots what the teacher presented at the beginning of the term or the beginning of the month? So that's not the way of evaluating students. I think that every class is a source of information where teachers can get what they need from their students, the way they work, because while we are in class, we are monitoring what they are doing, and sometimes without uttering a word, they can give lots of information. I think that formative evaluation should be present, and we need to forget about summative evaluation, because we know that this type of testing students is not fruitful. And why do we have to have this idea of fear in the classroom? Students do not like this type of evaluation, and we never pay attention to that. We are within a system, and I think that we can implement different ways of evaluating students. Remember that the system wants grades. Okay, we can give them the grades they want. But I think that if we create a flexible atmosphere, we will be able to evaluate them differently, and at the same time, the students will be able to enjoy learning in a different way. At the moment, they are not enjoying learning at all because there is a sense of obligation. They are given rules to follow, and what they need is to apply what they learn. If there is no application, learning does not take place. And the problem is that still we are using methodological traditional ways of teaching in which this type of teaching is present in evaluation. Sorry. So I think that we are committing a great mistake. So we are responsible for that. That's why Tracy, I think that we need to include this in teacher training colleges. The way teachers should evaluate in the future when they have their own groups. Otherwise, we are repeating the same traditional story year after year. So thank you, Mohammed, for your words. Okay, now I can go on to your question. What was it? What did you say? Matmas?
Yes.
What was your question?
Mamutaz, what was your question?
Ask me the question again, because I forgot after my speech.
Just I have a question. So does complaints equal engagement? I know that engagement is essential part of learning. So does complaints equal engagement?
Okay, well, so we have said, yes, you're right, that engagement is an important part of learning, but some levels of compliance is necessary because students need rules in order to to get engaged. So what can we do in order to encourage this engagement that is necessary in the classroom? First of all, we need to create a flexible atmosphere. And we know that we need to give students the opportunity to learn in different ways. We know that today we have diverse students, that they learn differently and they have different paces, and that should be respected in the classroom. In the same way, we as teachers should present information in different formats. These are two principles of the universal design for learning. This should be present in the classroom, and this cannot be forgotten. This is essential because this adds flexibility to our classes. Then something very important that should be encouraged in the classroom is to forget about incentives or rewards, because this is against learning. The students are not really interested in learning. They are interested in the reward the teacher has promised them. So they try to run a race against the clock because they want to finish an activity or whatever they are doing, because they know that after that they will receive a golden star, a candy, or whatever the teacher has promised. So the problem with this type of rewards is that students may become addicted to them, and it is a problem. So that's why generating intrinsic motivation is so important in the classroom, because when the students are intrinsically motivated, they never think about rewards. And if they are offered rewards, they are not necessary because they are interested in learning, really. All right. Another important component in the classroom is the fact that teachers should emphasize ownership. This means that the students should become agents in their learning. When they become agents in their learning, they are not only intrinsically motivated, they become self-reliant, and they become independent, because when they become agents of their own learning, they become autonomous. And one of our most important aims in education is to help them develop autonomy. But in order to develop autonomy, they need to work together first, because we should insist on the fact that learning is a social process. It's not individual as the traditional model promotes. No, first I need others. And when we work with others, gradually I'm able to become autonomous, independent. We should give students choice and voice. That is to say, they should not follow strict rules. They should be given the opportunity to discuss with their teachers about what they are learning, the resources that can be used, and their own interest. For example, this should be taken into account. We should not make content interest. We should tap into our students' interest. For example, if they like dinosaurs, well, think of the way we can introduce dinosaurs when we are introducing a new topic. Because if they are in love with dinosaurs and they can see that they are part of the learning of the day, they will become more interested and more motivated, because dinosaurs are part of their world. We need to create a supportive environment. This is also very important. Why? Because when the students feel that their teachers are empathetic, supportive, approachable, they feel more confident, because students learn in a different way, because each student is unique in our classroom, and this should be borne in mind every time we start a class at school. So they should be given different possibilities of learning, different ways of learning, and different paces. So when students feel that their teachers are by their side, they feel more comfortable, because they know that they won't be left behind. And something also crucial in the classroom is encouraging play. Play is the natural way of learning, and play is not as common as it should be at all levels. Why? Because when we use play, there is direct involvement in the process of learning. They learn by doing, and play values intellectual, emotional, and physical engagement. That's why it is so important to be present in our classrooms. And another essential component is brain breaks. A brain break is a short activity in the middle of the class. For example, after students have been working for 20 or 30 minutes, the teacher suddenly stops the class and tells them to do something else that has nothing to do with the previous activity. For example, they may start dancing or singing or doing physical activities, and this short activity will help them clear their minds so that they become energetic and they will be able to finish the activity they started at the beginning of the class. So when all these aspects are taken into account, we can have a flexible environment in which the students are invited to learn and they enjoy what they are doing, because the idea is not to make them students follow rules, complete assignments, or do what the teacher wants. On the contrary, it is to make them feel comfortable, to make themselves feel at home and work in a pleasant way, considering that learning is a pleasure. Remember that learning is a supreme act which generates positive emotions. And once Piaget said, we are responsible for encouraging our students to love what they learn. And in order to love what they learn, we should show our passion for learning. If we give instructions, we are not showing our passion, on the contrary. So this is very important to be taken into account to be an effective teacher and to help students to become effective learners. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patricia, for your outstanding speech delivery. I know that you are a good speaker and your subject knowledge is very well. So we are optimistic that one day we will be able to produce world-class student or world-class teacher. You will all cooperate so that we can protect it. Speaking just of an educator, he says that his name, the author name Jackson and Jamuda, just one of the educators said, practicing dutiful students are easy to manage. Do what is expected and participate when the risk of making mistake is low. The follow instructions, complete assignment and get good grade, but their heart is not in it. So our time is so limited. Does anybody say something about our today's topic? Please, just 1 minute.
Okay, Mamutaz, the topic is very good, but the question is in another place. We all are thinking very good things. We need to make our children free for their learning, so we have to create the environment. For creating environment, what are the basic criteria? This is very important. Once there is a government, textbook board, people, teacher educator, learning procedure, training procedure, understanding future, many things are involved here. Maybe if a government started to change it, that will be very difficult for him, unless and until the teacher will not come out. And Patricia already mentioned, for creating future teacher, we have to introduce some new ideas and thoughts in teachers training college or training session where it takes places. And for that, we need to create a platform, one thing. Second, we cannot change it certainly. So we have to change it gradually. For example, if you want to make them more engageable, then the question of teacher-student ratio is very important. At the same time, enough teaching materials is also important. In some cases, a little materials might do that, but in maximum cases, if you go for science, if you go for math, then you need a lot of materials. Even if you wanted to perform a drama, you need dresses and other things. Otherwise, it will not give you a proper environment to act or to react. And for that, they have to go in a way that some really good dream will come their mind. And for doing that, we need a movement. Maybe the movement will take place in that way. Those who are the teacher, they have to do some experiment from their personal voices. They have to introduce action research in their school. Even sometimes they can use their extra time for co-curriculum activities where they can involve their children in such a way that they will learn from themselves. Teacher only the facilitator. So in this way, student mindset will be changed as well as teachers' mindset will be changed. And again, lots of articles, videos, and other things should be published in order to make aware our parents and citizens. But this is really very good platform. We start to talk, and I would like to congratulate you for that. And the people, those who are talking here, they're really very experienced person, and their ideas are very good. Whenever we can just make a reference of their talk, then it will be more powerful. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Talukdar sir, for your elaborate and insightful and important discussions. Now I will finish with everyone permission. Many thanks for making the event of success for so long. With your help, today's 32nd episode has been completed. Just we need to be very aware of the global epidemic. We have to make arrangement to keep ourselves healthy and others healthy. In fact, the purpose of this program, is to ensure the quality of education worldwide and build skilled human resource through global communication. There is a desire to create something new with the discussion of each episode of this program. So I think many people need to cooperate in order to make education quality. That's why this global family of mine is supporting me regularly, for which I'm grateful all of them. Stay safe. See you next week with next topic. Good luck. Until then, God bless all of you. Thank you. Thank you, all of you, and goodbye. Good luck.